Ladies and gentlemen, heels and heelettes, welcome back to a special edition of Blunt Impact. We said we weren't gonna have a Impact Wrestling No Surrender roundtable special, whatever you want to call it, but turns out we lied, and we're gonna have one anyway, just for your viewing pleasure. I am your boy Chris G. I'm usually joined by my co-host, the three-time baby making champion. But he is missing in action at the moment. There's no other way to put it. So here, who is going to join us anyway, but he's basically his replacement, is his other tag team partner, the Stat King himself. What is going on, my brother? How are you?
Not too much. I'm doing pretty good. That's true. Yeah, we're both Nessa's tag team partners. So it only makes sense if he's not able to join us right now that we just keep going forward.
Yeah, it's like one of us pulled the double turn. We're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna steal the other part and just leave you to waste, you dead weight. No, we wish he was here with us, but unfortunately, life happens, so he is not here to join us. But it's cool. We are still going to bring you the Impact No Surrender card. So before we get into it, we want to remind everybody at home to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show true heel heat the love. We will show it back. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. We are on the road to 10,000. We're shooting for the moon. For the moon, just like Cameron Grimes. But that's a different show. We're not here to discuss it. Stat King is not a marijuana guy.
No.
But he does have his vape with him, which is good enough for us. As long as there's some type of smoke on your end.
Absolutely. That's, while you're doing that, let's just say that while Ness may not be here, the one co-host that won't let you down is Mary Jane.
That is true. She has yet to let me down in a major way. It has happened, minor way, but nothing major. That's why our relationship is so strong to this day. But yes, if you've been here before, you've watched Blunt Impact, you know I am going to count down from 3 to 1. When we get down to 1, we're going to light up at the same time. Stat King, you don't have anything to light, but you will pull from your vape. So are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody at home. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. So we start off this Impact Plus special with a nice little tribute for Tommy Dreamer. It is his 50th birthday as this show airs. We start off with, of course, on commentary, D'Lo Brown and Matt Striker, and we get into our first match of the night. It is Tennille Dashwood with Caleb with a K, also with Triple XL, and they are going up against the newly reformed, I guess, the K, which is Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and Black Taurus. Taurus. I
Very
have a
interesting
I have a
pronunciation.
very hard time.
Yeah.
Very hard time pronouncing that in Spanish. It's very, very difficult for me. But he looked impressive. He looked fast. He looked strong. Couple nice spots in this match. AC powerbombed Tennille Dashwood to the outside of the ring to everybody else. The little mosh pit, the dog pile waiting to catch her, but it's fine. AC gets misted by Rosemary, gets the green miss. Taurus gets the win. Decent opening match, nothing too crazy, nothing really to point out. It started off kind of slow and then turned into the car crash that we would expect from this type of match. But altogether, I gave it 2.75 stars. What are your thoughts on this second?
I give it somewhere around that same. It was an interesting little kind of opening match. I felt like the everything was kind of okay, but the ending just seemed weird. Like Taurus, gets back into the ring, hits that finisher, but it just seemed as though it was built for a kick out. And it just that wasn't supposed to be the end of the match for some reason to me. It just felt as though there hadn't been enough done to get the pinfall from that, and just getting him up, getting Larry up to hit that seemed like it was taking everything out of Taurus. But I mean, get him up he did, and put him down he did. But yeah, it just seems as though the ending, I don't know, maybe happened a little too quickly, but they had a lot of matches to get to. So, get in, get out, do what needs to get done. It's all right.
Yeah, it was a fun match to open. It didn't need to be nothing too crazy, but I thought it served its purpose. Next up, we have a match between Matt Cardona teaming up with Eddie Edwards going up against Brian Myers and Hernandez. At first, it looks like Brian Myers doesn't want to fight Matt Cardona. He tags out to Hernandez when Cardona wants a piece of him. Kind of slow until Cardona gets a hot tag eventually. We finally get some interaction between Brian Myers and Matt Cardona. They had their little one-on-one back and forth. But in the end, Brian Myers gets the win with that fucking clothesline. Don't know what else to call it. It's not a lariat. It's not a clothesline from hell. This is the clothesline from Snowflake City. Like, this shit barely looks terrifying.
So, so what
Other
you're
than
saying
that,
is it's the most professional clothesline ever.
yes, exactly. It's a perfect clothesline, but god damn it. It's two. I gave this 2 3/4 stars as well. It wasn't a bad match, but just that fucking clothesline just puts me under the 3-star mark. What about you, Stay? How'd you feel about this match? How'd
I,
you
I
feel about actually finally seeing Brian Myers and Matt Cardona face off for the first time that I can remember in a very long
Yeah,
time?
that was part of the humorousness of it to me. Like the humor of it was commentary trying really hard not to talk about their time in WWE, but while at the same time being like, well, they know each other so well. It's like they, they they have a long, deep-seated history together. What's that history, you ask? Oh, I mean, it's a history. Like, they've known each other for a long time. But no, the match itself was all right. The the eye patch looks fucking hilarious on him. I was like, what is going on? But it was kind of interesting because at least because of this, Hernandez got to do something that was more important than what Hernandez normally does, and Eddie Edwards gets to, I guess, tread water because this is not what Eddie Edwards really should be doing on Impact. But I mean, for what it's supposed to do, which is really to help Brian Myers, I guess it gets the job done. So I'll borrow one of your gimmicks and say that this match, my rating for it was serviceable.
I like that. I like that word, serviceable. Um, I don't know what else is left for Eddie Edwards and Impact at this point, so it feels like this was the only spot for him. And Hernandez actually, I mean, shit, he looked pretty crisp for a big dude. He could still move in the ring. Surprised he's been around as long as he has. Next up, we have a match between Cody Deaner and Jake, something formerly known as Cousin Jake. Cody getting dominated early in the match, going outside to get advice from Eric Young. Only as Eric Young could give advice. Nice and deranged, his eyes popping out of his head, fucking veins just everywhere. Love it. Physical match, good storytelling. I'm not a fan of Jake something being a big guy and fighting from underneath, especially against a guy of Cody Deaner's stature. But at the same time, Cody Deaner was aggressive. He was crisp in the ring. Did look good. Jake something had a nice, impressive dive over the ropes onto, I believe, Eric Young and Joe Dory. And he gets the win. I think he could have showed more, but it wasn't a bad match. It told a good story. So I'm going to give this match 3 stars. After the match, Jake something gets jumped. They put him through a table, and Violent by Design stands tall. So what did you think about the match, and what are your thoughts, I guess, about Jake something? What's the potential there?
So I like the match. This one, I agree with you. This was a 3-star match. I think what was interesting to me about it is just more the roles that are being played. You normally don't see, I mean, the big guy being the face seems kind of weird. Yeah, it does seem really weird, and it's weird that Deaner's going to be the person who is going to have an advantage over him, like in any way, shape, or form throughout this match. I saw Colleen and I we were able to see Jake something in live and living color at Warrior Wrestling. He faced Joey Janela in a really good match. When we're talking about potential, he's got a lot of potential, and maybe that's the reason why they had him be the face as opposed to Deaner in the split. But it seemed as though I feel like Violent by Design could have been a little bit more involved in the match if you're going to have Jake something be the person who's trying to claw from behind against someone who, just from appearances, he should be able to dominate. So I feel like Eric Young got involved from time to time, but Doring didn't really do much. And most of the time when EY got involved, it was because Diener was the one distracting the ref. I feel like it could have been Doring distracting the ref, or even Eric Young distracting the ref, and then you have Doring and Diener, or Diener and EY beaten up on Jake something. But I don't know, like some parts of it felt kind of off, but at least like with everything that happened and the story that it told, that was like a 3-star match. And the beatdown afterwards leaves a lot, because you still feel as though, yeah, Jake got the win, but this is just the beginning of a war, of a much larger war. This is just a chapter in the story that's being told. So, I mean, looking forward to see how they continue to move out of this, whether or not Jake's going to get some help from somewhere, or someone's going to try to have his back or something like that, because the 3-on-1 beatdown, that's nobody's idea of a good time.
Yeah, that's true. I'd hate to be on the receiving end of a 3-on-1 beatdown. Regardless of what sport or just in real life, it's just not a good look. I would not wish that upon my worst enemy. Backstage, Eddie and his wife Lisha bring Tommy Dreamer a gift because he has been instrumental in both their careers. So they just wanted to say that proud of him and wish him luck. Nice little touch. We get these throughout the night. But next up is the triple threat revolver match. The winner becomes number 1 contender for the X Division Championship. Now, we start off with Trey Miguel, Blake Christian, and Suicide. This match, I will say from start to end, felt like it went 100 miles per hour. Just non-stop action, regardless if all 3 guys were in the ring, regardless if they were outside the ring, regardless if they did the regular triple threat, 1 guy outside and 2 guys fight it off in the ring. It was nonstop action, nonstop reversals, nonstop high spots. We'll break it down as we go along. Trey beats Suicide. He submits Suicide. So in next comes in Chris Bay. Good action with Chris Bay, of course. He takes out Blake Christian, who is on his way to WWE, apparently. After Blake is eliminated, Daivari comes in, and he's eliminated quickly. Next up is Josh Alexander. Of course, the biggest guy in the ring. You wouldn't really think he is the X Division prototypical wrestler, but I mean, it is the walking weapon. He does bring a certain essence in the ring, I guess. He dominates. Out goes Chris Bay, in comes Willie Mack. He's also eliminated fairly quickly with like a double pin. Josh Alexander's on top of him, but he's facing down. So Trey Miguel does a move on him, gets the pin with Alexander on him. So he doesn't necessarily pin Josh Alexander, but Willie Mack can't get up, so he's eliminated. Outlast is Ace Austin. Good action from all these guys for the last final minutes. Trey Miguel hits a low rope, the lower rope springboard cutter. Just innovative shit that you don't really see, especially from that lack of elevation for a high spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was pretty creative. But in the end, Josh Alexander, the walking weapon, gets the win, and he is the number 1 contender for the X Division Championship. I didn't see this coming, but I'm not mad that he won because I am a Josh Alexander fan. I gave this match 3.5 stars. It was good. There's just not a lot of complaints about this match. I really enjoyed it. How about you?
Yeah. This was a good one. This is up there for match of the night for me. This had, just from the start of the bell to the end of the bell, just going back and forth and back and forth. And it took some interesting turns. Like, I didn't think that Daivari was going to get eliminated as quickly as he did. I mean, I knew I didn't picture him being the person to walk out as the winner, but to get eliminated as quickly as he did, that was a little surprising to me. But like just different things like that. The way Trey Miguel pins Willie Mack is just hilarious. Like that level of intelligence to be like, I know I'm not gonna pull this off on my own, but Josh Alexander's a big guy, so let's use him to pull this off. So that's also really great. I don't know, something about it. This match was really stood out to me. I think it was also the fact that Impact was trying something new. Just the way the match worked. Like just having constant triple threat matches, it's elimination until the final fall. That I thought was really just interesting. And then when you add in somebody like Trey Miguel, who to your point can do the kind of crazy things we see him do, it's just a level of innovation that Impact is trying to bring to, this thing that we call professional wrestling. It's kind of interesting. Like all you need is Ethan Page to leave the company, and Josh Alexander starts, shooting up the. It's like they were just waiting for Ethan to leave for some reason. They didn't want to push one of them as a single star within the team. But yeah, I mean, really good match. 3.5 stars feels about right. Maybe three and a quarter. Just because some of the eliminations did happen pretty quickly, so you didn't get like a chance to really get into the match. But I mean, for what they were going for, it definitely worked. I liked it.
Yeah, I was a little skeptical on how the concept was going to work, how sloppy and clusterfuck it might be. Going into it, just I was a little pessimistic, but I'm glad that it changed my mind and it worked out good. I can see them giving Josh Alexander the push because they don't want him to leave because of how Ethan Page left. So yeah. I can definitely see that why he's getting the push, but he deserves it because he's a good talent. So no complaints on this side. Next up, we have the Monsters of Mayhem, as we like to call them, Havoc and Nevaeh, and they are competing for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Fire and Flavor hold the titles. This will be a tornado tag, no disqualification match. A little slow for my liking, but first of all, it's the same ref that they didn't want reffing, but he's in there reffing anyway. And since there's no DQ, he can't really fuck over Fire and Flavor. I don't get it, but whatever. Good chemistry between these two teams, though. It was slow, but it wasn't sloppy. They kept it together. Decent spots with chairs, kendo sticks. Just, it could have been a little bit more destructive, in my opinion, but they did what they could. At the end, Sasha Steelz hits a cutter onto a parking sign that Nevaeh brings into the ring. She gets the win. Fire and Flavor retains. I give this match 2.5 stars. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think I'd give it like 2.25, 2.5. Yeah, this was this is a rivalry between these two teams that dates back to when I was covering Impact on Dark Power. This is a long-standing thing between these women, and a no DQ stipulation. While a lot of times it benefits the larger opponent because they can do more damage, it also evens the playing field in a very big way, and that's what Fire and Flavor used to their advantage. The match was all right. It just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. If they were gonna be no DQ, they should have gone full no DQ. Like really get the stuff going. Like because then when you just have like a hit on a parking sign, it makes more sense, at least because you've done more damage throughout the course of the night. We've seen Havoc and Nevaeh get much worse things done to them. Why am I thinking that just getting dropped on a parking sign is, gonna do anything to you? But yeah, it worked. It worked for what it was supposed to do, I guess. Yeah, 2.25 works.
Next up, we have we're gonna go to Rohit Raju challenging for the X Division Championship against TJP. I'm just gonna start off. I gave this match 3 stars. The only gripe I really have with it is there should have been more interference. And let me explain. First of all, it starts off hot. Very hot start to the match. They don't even make it into the ring. They start beating the shit out of each other outside for a good 5 minutes. Finally get into the ring. The ref is finally, you guys in a neutral position as the commentary is trying to beat to death. Shame on Matt Striker. He said the tension between these two guys is reminiscent to Montreal 1997. Now, I don't know what fucking drugs you're smoking, but in no shape or form on any planet or in any fucking universe does TJP and Rohit Raju have anywhere in the same amount of heat, the same atmosphere, nowhere as Bret and Shawn in Montreal 97. Just wanted to say that.
I needed to get that off my chest because that really fucking bothered me. Don't insult my intelligence, Matt. You're better than that.
Even Sean versus the crowd had more heat.
Yes. Sean versus the crowd had way more heat than this. This shit is just it's barely electrical stove heat on low flame. Fuck. But other than that, good match. Fucking great reversals, good use of false finishes in the match. I feel like they could have used more time because it's just like they were really putting on a good show. But I really do think he needed a little bit more interference from Sheriff because you just made it seem like, you know, he was going to be this heater, he was going to be the difference maker, and we barely saw him throughout the match. So it's just weird. A funny moment in the match. Rohit Raju bites TJP and he goes, "It tastes like failure." Just, I think, good shit from Rohit Raju. But yes, good back and forth match. 3 stars. Stat King, what'd you think about this?
I think you hit it right in the head with the lack of interference. It's kind of the theme of the night. You didn't have that much interference from Eric Young and Joe Doring. We didn't have that much interference from Madman Fulton for Ace Austin, because by the time Ace Austin came out, it's the last match, but it's a triple threat, so there's no disqualifications. Madman Fulton didn't really help his guy, and now Sherrod doesn't really help out Rohit Raju. I mean, I'll shoot Stryker like the smallest amount of bail that I can possibly give him. This is at least the longest rivalry that's currently going on Impact. So if you're gonna make a horribly exaggerated claim, I guess this is the match to do it with. Outside of the rivalry of Moose versus everybody, this is like the longest kind of thing that's going on. But no, nothing really can save Stryker from that horrible analogy. But the match itself was really good. I did like this one. It was a good match. These are 2 guys that have had plenty of matches before. There's a lot of good chemistry between them. Even if TJP's wearing a mask, even if Chris Bay is in the match and it's a triple threat, they're 2 guys who work really, really well together, and it showed. This is something that I think down the road, if they are still in Impact, you can have them kind of separate from each other for a while. But if they're still in Impact, this is a world title feud down the road after they've gotten, well, I mean, more for Rohit than TJP, but after they've gotten some more experience under their belt and they kind of know better how to carry a world title level program. These are 2 guys who could definitely carry a world program.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Rohit take that next step. I think he's capable of doing it. He's definitely a capable performer. And with Shera, man, he's a big dude. He got a heater. He could talk shit. Just, he got everything in his favor. So it depends how he takes the ball, how far he runs with it, Next up, we have Deonna Purrazzo, Kimberly, and Susan, not Karen, Susan, versus ODB, Jazz, and Jordynne Grace. Good match. They had some fun high spots. I like they had the face team had a trio of high spots continuously where I can't remember who started off. I think Jordynne Grace might have did the suicide dive. Jazz did like a little flip into them, and then fucking ODB, went hand too. So that was a nice little touch. Kimberly also had a nice front flip off the top rope onto the outside towards the end of the match. But we had a moment where Jazz gets thumbed in the eye and she accidentally strikes Jordynne Grace. And I thought, here comes a turn. Here comes a turn. Here comes a turn, like a NASCAR race. Here comes a turn. It's coming. But it didn't come. Jazz makes Susan tap, and that team gets the W. I also gave this match 3 stars because I enjoyed this match. It was good to see the ladies show out. Like, they kept the pace. It wasn't sloppy. They really had a good night overall, which is good to see. I was impressed. What about you?
I thought that maybe this is a situation where ODB could take the pin if you were going to have the other team, if you're going to have the face team lose, a situation where ODB is there, kind of take that pin. But yeah, I thought maybe this is the turn. We are going to see this because that's kind of the logical place where it should go. It feels as though that's where it's supposed to go. And I thought maybe ODB takes the pin. Jordan and Jazz are like, what should we have done differently so that we didn't lose? And that would be what kind of started it. But that's not what happened. Maybe they're just slow burning it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But overall, the match itself was good. I didn't think Jazz could really go like that, like with the top rope stuff. But man, surprising as hell. Good match. I gave it about, I think like 2.5. 2.5 works. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. ODB could have ate the pin, but it makes sense Susan tapping because Kimberly and Deanna are not really happy with her. She got the match booked. She's just fucking calling managers. She's being a pain in the ass. So I like where they're going with that. Next up, we have the Beer Guns versus the Good Brothers versus Private Party. Really good tag team match. I mean, and when I say tag team match, it was an actual tag team match, man. Private Party got beat up for most of it, but good chemistry between the Beer Guns. Good chemistry, of course, with the Good Brothers, just taking turns beating on them. Matt Hardy, towards the end, it turns into the little car crash that we're kind of used to for Private Party matches, and even Motor City Machine Gun matches, but James Storm's substituted. But man, it's just fun shit. And of course, Matt Hardy gets involved. Tries to steal the win. He has to twist the fate on Chris Sabin, I believe. They almost got the win. Private Party almost pulled it off. Shooting star press, but Carl Anderson with the blind tag. Mark Quinn doesn't realize it. Gets thrown out of the ring. Carl Anderson steals the pin. 1, 2, 3. The Good Brothers retain the Impact Tag Team Championships. I gave this match 3.25 stars. Really good tag team match. I liked it. I was curious on how all three of these teams were going to work. I kind of like the fast pace when it comes to Private Party, but I'm glad that they sold and they worked in some holds in the beginning. It was like a more traditional tag team match, and so of course it blew up, which I enjoy. So no complaints on my side. How'd you feel?
I felt it moved really fast. I felt like they needed more time for this one. They could have had a couple more minutes here and there, and it would have felt a lot more, I guess, full. This kind of feels like it feels like before the match, kind of they talked about certain spots that they wanted to do, and then they were like, "Oh, we'll fill in the rest real quick, and we'll call that in the ring and kind of get it there," which works all three teams are so talented that they can do that. They know how to work well with each other. I mean, you have an array of former tag team champions from different companies, but this was a good match. It kind of felt more like it was more like an AEW story than an Impact story to me, and that's, I don't know, that's something that they gotta address. That's kind of how the Forbidden Door being kicked open, as it feels like from the Impact side, it feels as though Impact's kind of feeding more into what AEW is doing, and it's not as much of a give and take. Maybe that's something that they can work on for the future. But for the match itself did work for what they were trying to get done. I liked that the Good Brothers retained. I feel like they were the ones who needed to walk out with the titles, because it helps Private Party's story of them spiraling with Matt Hardy and all those issues there. I mean, we saw what Matt Hardy was doing to them after the match. Like, that was getting in their face and just yelling at them and all that. But I'm just kind of trying to figure out what team is going to be the one that takes these titles from the Good Brothers. It doesn't seem as though any team is really that prepared to do it. Who would you have be the ones to take the titles from the Good Brothers?
Honestly, I don't think any tag team in Impact right now could really. It's just the Forbidden Door's open, right? You have all these promotions, and the Good Brothers are the guys that like basically help open the door. You know what I mean? From Impact's a point of view, standpoint. So who else can you make champion? Why would you make anyone champion right now? Especially when you're trying to, we're still in the early stages of this door being open. You know what I mean? So it's like, can they really lose to anybody in Impact? No. Can I see them losing to another tag team elsewhere? maybe across the border in Japan, maybe in AEW. You never know. I don't think Impact has a tag team right now though.
That's fair.
It's hard to answer that, honestly. Maybe Violent by Design, but
they're the ones I was thinking of, because they're the only ones who seem like they have a real cohesiveness. At least maybe until Rhino and Heath Slater get back.
I thought tonight was gonna be the night, but they didn't come back. But it's all good. It's all good. Hopefully there's a tag team eventually that would take over. But we got to get into the main event. Before the main event, Tommy Dreamer is getting interviewed and he cuts a good promo. He starts getting emotional. Went to his first wrestling match. His dad took him to his first wrestling match when he was 10 years old. His dad's no longer here with us. When he was 17, he took his girlfriend to see, I forgot who he took, but he took his girlfriend to see somebody good. When he asked the announcer, how old are you? She goes, 22. 22, I was getting hit by Singapore Canes, with Singapore Canes by the Sandman, which we remember very fondly. I remember it fondly. So
Same.
It's a very emotional night for Tommy Dreamer, his 50th birthday, but he goes one-on-one with the champion for the Impact World Championship, Rich Swann. Good shit, man. Just fucking Tommy Dreamer looking as fast as I've ever seen him. Not as I ever seen him. Definitely in the last 15 years for sure. This is the best I've ever seen Tommy Dreamer. Of course, credit to Rich Swann, because Rich Swann another guy goes at 100 miles per hour, but Tommy Dreamer did his part to keep up with him, the most he could do. And he looked good. It wasn't sloppy. He didn't look gassed. I mean, he brought it. I was pleasantly astounded. Swann works on his hand after we have a spot we get a fake doc, but Tommy Dreamer basically pops his finger back into place, which is cool because he's hardcore. Why not give him a hardcore moment without having a hardcore match?
That was exactly my thought. Exactly what I was thinking.
It's just good shit, right? Great back and forth match. It's reversals, few high spots here and there. They embrace after the match. Rich Swann gets the win after a Phoenix Splash. I gave this 3 3/4 stars. After the match, though, Moose comes in, takes out Tommy Dreamer, takes out Rich Swann, takes out his knee, starts beating his chair with a knee. He ends the show holding both titles. I love it. And I can't wait until it's actually official where you could hold both these titles. But as of now, Rich Swann, good title defense. Great match. Overall, good card. How'd you feel about the main event?
So what's that Cher song from back? If I could turn back time. That's what he was listening to. That's what he was listening to that morning, because he definitely was like, let's see, it's the classic. I don't know if I can be that guy forever, but for one night, can I be that person? And that's really what the whole match was about, and the whole event really was about. And yeah, they're like, how can we make this seem hardcore without it being a hardcore stipulation? And Tommy just raises his hand in the meeting and goes, well, I can dislocate my finger. And they're like, you can do that? He's like, I mean, if I hit it hard enough. That's basically what happens. He's like, if I hit it hard enough, I can pop it back in. It'll be all right. And they're like, I mean, if you want to. And he's like, when have I ever not wanted to? Let's do it. So yeah, that was a really great spot, and it was that fake doctor was a little comical, a little too on the nose, but it worked. It worked. I liked it. The match was really good. Rich Swann is a great performer, great talent. Just makes you think what could have been if he had been able to stay in WWE in that cruiserweight division. Some of the matches he could have had or should have had, some of the title runs he probably should have gotten, some really, really important stuff that he could have been doing. But here he is in Impact, making the most of what he has around him. And what he has around him is somebody who is definitely missing a step, but can still go. And Rich Swann says, you know what, I can work with that. I can make some magic with that. And that's what he does. And that's kind of the job of a world champion, isn't it? Like that's the job of your top star. It's to whoever you're in the ring with, find a way to make it work. And kudos to both men for finding a way to do that. This was a 3.5 star match. I liked the Moose beatdown afterwards, just to make you remember that Moose is there. Moose is waiting. He has no match on this card. He has no real presence on this card, but he makes his presence known. Just when you think that this is that feel good moment, the rug gets ripped out from underneath Tommy Dreamer the same way it's been done many, many times over his career. But yeah, just kudos to both men. I like it. It kind of was a great way to just end the show, and that's like, it gives you that Tuesday. What are we gonna see Tuesday? What's gonna happen on Impact? So good decisions all around. 3.5 stars. I liked it.
Beautiful way to end the show. Moose standing tall, just to put him in the back of our minds. So yes, I will be looking forward to Tuesday. Let me start the recording. All right, we're gonna start off. We're gonna put our thumbs up. We're gonna do a thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down. Yeah. Okay.
I
1,
just
2, 3. We give it a thumbs up. We give it a 1 to 10 rating. I'll give this is a solid 7.5 for me. I think 7.5 is a good.
I give it a 7.
MVP, I'm gonna go co-MVPs. Tommy Dreamer and Rich Swann. They showed out, man. They picked each other up.
I'm gonna agree with you. I know I said earlier that one of the matches I thought that was match of the night was that triple threat revolver match, but like as we were talking about this main event, kind of shifted, kind of reminded me of just like what that main event really was about and all that. So yeah, I give them both co-main event MVPs too. But if anybody else is coming close, Josh Alexander did very well in showing why he's going to be a breakout single star.
He's definitely a honorable mention for sure. Match of the night, I'm going with the main event.
This is tough because I really like that. I just like the concept of that revolver. I'm gonna go with
it was
revolver.
tough for me.
I'm gonna go with the revolver.
I was on the fence as well, but I gave it. I like the storytelling and just I like the fact that Tommy Dreamer fucking proved me wrong and brought it tonight. So I'm gonna stick with Tommy Dreamer, but that's a good honorable mention as well. Jabroni of the night. It's hard to pick one, but I'm gonna have to go with Matt Striker for his absurd comments comparing Rohit, Raju, and TJP to Brett and Sean type heat.
So this is my LVP, right? Jabroni of the night, LVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Madman Fulton for not helping your guy in a non-DQ situation because it was a triple threat match. You could not cause a disqualification. Why not just get involved and beat the crap out of both of them? Did absolutely nothing, and Aces just left high and dry.
Well, you give it to a couple guys if that's the case, but yes, Fulton is definitely worthy.
But the other matches weren't non-DQ.
In
essence, they weren't non-DQ matches. They could still have caused some problems. In this situation, Fulton had a clear license to do whatever he wanted.
That's why he's the muscle and not the brains. Ace Austin is the brains of operation. So that is it for Impact No Surrender. I want to thank you, Stat King, for coming on and filling in for the good brother, the three-time baby making champion Ness. Where can we find you at?
You can find me in our Facebook group, True Heels. You can also find me on Dark Power, covering everything that happens in AEW Dark, MLW Fusion. I'm adding the Japanese side of the AEW Women's World Title Eliminator Tournament while that's going on. And you can also catch me on Review of Honor with Ness as we break down everything that happens inside of a Ring of Honor ring. Chris, thank you for having me. Love talking to Impact Wrestling with you guys. Love being on Blunt Impact. Good time all the time.
Yes, of course. You are welcome anytime on Blunt Impact. You can find me at True Heel Chris G on Blunt Impact, of course, with my man Ness. You could also find me on Wednesday Night Warriors with Romeo, my man, and Joints and Jabronis. Whenever we decide to drop an episode, should have been a little hectic, but I got plenty in the tank to drop an episode, so I'm gonna drop one sooner or later. Just as long as once me and Ness's schedules line up, we'll definitely pull it off. So for Stat King, for the three-time baby making championess, and for our co-host Mary Jane, I'm your boy Chris G. Like, share, comment, subscribe. True Heel Heat, baby. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.